Thanks very much. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to take a few minutes. I want to tell you a little bit about Aiven and a challenge that we solve in the industry. My name's Stu Garrow. I run the APAC business out of Singapore for Aiven. Trusted open source data platform for everybody. This is, what Aiven's about. Let me take you on a little bit of a journey here. I was hoping my slides were going to turn up. This does not look like my slides. Oh, no, here's my slides. How come that looks different to this? I'm sorry. I'm looking down here. All right. No problem. Let's continue. Trusted open source data platform for everybody. If I go around the room and I look at, you've heard from Sunil, a moment ago, and some of the challenges of digital transformation, which is a super interesting area. And many of the things that he called out are extremely relevant. And this is very much what we focus on as well. If I ask you today, what is the biggest challenge you have around data? Take a moment to think about that. And typically, if I ask 100 different people, I get 100 different answers. Some people would say, oh, my data's everywhere. It's in all of these different systems and silos. And other people would say it's all about security. I can't put stuff where I want it to because it's not secure and it might get hacked. And other people are going to say it's all about governance and compliance. Other people will say it's about people. I don't have the right skills to be able to make the most of it. I need to hire more people. You tend to get 100 different things going on as 100 different people think there's different challenges. The reality when I look at it is I think all of it boils down to one thing. The biggest challenge we have in the industry today is not getting value from our data. Every organization on the planet is data-driven. Every role within every organization is data. Everybody believes they can't get their job done unless they have the right data. We can't give the right customer experience, the right partner experience. Everything needs data. So we all recognize that. But the challenge we have is if we're not getting value for data, and when we engage with people, we ask the question, hey, you probably have a ton of different systems in your business. Do you think you get value from all of the data that you have, your HR and your CRM and customer systems and marketing? Are you getting value? And the answer is probably no. So there's a number of reasons why that happens. As people go on this journey, everybody needs data. Everyone wants to have access in their role. And people go and they say, well, I need all these new initiatives. I need my digital transformation to make this work. And then we discover the reality of business. There is never enough time, there is never enough money, there is never enough people to be able to get the whole thing done. And so we start looking for alternatives. How do I get great value? Because if I run out of money because everything's too expensive to be able to do it, instead of doing this many initiatives, I do some fraction of that. So when I get to this point, some of the time what people will look at is things like open source. And they'll say, hey, I'm going to use open source systems. That's going to cut down the cost of my software. If I pay less for the software, I'll be able to invest in more things. So as they start this journey, they see a number of these challenges all coming together. Data silos. My data is everywhere. Some of it's in the cloud, some of it's on-prem, some of it, as Sunil said, is actually stored in those legacy systems, those systems of record that I have. But then similar to the first speaker, we have all of our IoT systems. I've got streaming data coming in from social media, from IoT, etc. I can have the greatest systems on earth, but if I can't get the last mile of getting through compliance that allows me to put something into production, how often do we see we were able to build this amazing new system and get this problem solved, and it only took us 90 days. And then it took us another 9 months to get through compliance within our business or within the industry that we're in, depending on which is more regulated, to be able to get it into compliance so that we can actually use it. Things like security, being able to make sure that if I use, and especially if I go down an open source journey, one of the challenges people will often look at is if the source code is available to everybody, everybody can go and look for vulnerabilities. How do I keep this thing secure? I don't want to end up on the front page of the paper tomorrow because I don't have the right security. And then I come down to the single rarest resource that most of us have within our business, which is people. We want to bring together our 10x contributors, the smartest people in our organization that we know can make the big difference. And if I tie up all of those people on back-end infrastructure kind of problems, that my smartest people in my organization are worrying about trying to install software and patch software and configure and integrate it and upgrade it and make it all, keep it working 24/7, if that's what my best people are doing, are my best people focusing on advancing my business and developing new initiatives? So Aiven as an organization, what do? What we do is bring together a best-of-breed software. Now today, best-of-breed in almost every sector is open source. So what we do is take a lot of the complexity out of open source. The hard part of open source software is installing it, configuring it, patching it, upgrading it, making sure that it satisfies security and compliance with zero downtime, making sure that this thing is always on and running and supporting my business. That is all the part that we do. So Aiven as a business, we run in every AWS, every Google, and every Azure data center on the planet. 108 data centers, more than 100,000 nodes globally. We basically run in all these data centers that allow organizations to implement a multi-cloud strategy. What we see today is organizations moving to this whole thing. Similar to a few years ago, people would say, I only buy best-of-breed software. And they go to the Gartner Magic Quadrant and they pick the best software. And other people said, no, we only buy a platform. And other people moved to, we only use open source. And then those open source folks in many cases went to, we only use SaaS applications. And today, what we're seeing in the industry around this is people saying, I do not use proprietary software from one cloud provider. If it doesn't run multi-cloud from day one, I do not run it. In Australia today, in the banking industry, it's against the law for a bank to go single cloud. They have to go multi-cloud. Indonesia, 2024, those same laws kick in. One by one, as countries around the region move GDPR, multi-cloud, you should do, to countries actually creating laws for their banking and financial industries that will permeate into other industries as well. So the need to be multi-cloud from day one and not lock yourself into one proprietary technology of one cloud provider is becoming more and more important. Open source opens up that world. So Aiven brings together a single dashboard that gives you all of this technology, which is best of breed, delivered as a single platform. A single platform is important because, again, if I bring together all of this amazing software that, I've got Kafka because I want to do streaming, and I'm using Redis and Postgres and Grafana, and I'm using all of these different pieces of technology, I'm still going to tie up my best and brightest people, integrating it and connecting it and patching it and making it work together. What you want to do is have your best and brightest people in a transformation focused on delivering business outcomes for you and your organization. So by having a single platform that's pre-integrated, that if I create a Kafka topic for doing some streaming stuff, that I know that my Flink being able to do data processing knows all about that. When they're pre-integrated, you get out of a lot of that complexity. A fully managed SaaS application with 4 nines. The way we work as an organization, as I say, we run multi-cloud. If you would like to create an instance of a database and have it in AWS in Singapore, you can. But if AWS goes down, as it does sometimes, they fail you over to Japan, which is against the law, because then all your data sovereignty in Singapore is violated by your data being moved to Japan. So you have to turn that off. So what do you really need to do? You really need to fail over AWS to Google to Azure and back again. So if you need to be able to take an instance and say, create me something in Singapore, create a replica in Google, create another replica in Azure, and then create a replica in Jakarta in Google and Azure in New York, and have them all with zero downtime, this ability to create and replicate and run in a multi-cloud environment becomes incredibly important. And this is the big thing you see in digital today, is this need for organizations to go multi-cloud in a simple and effective way. Everything we do is based on open source. And you say, why is that important? Because at the end of the day, the service we deliver, as a cloud-based service, why is it important? Because the best I was in a roundtable, an executive roundtable, just over a week ago. And what was really interesting is around that table, the executives there were universally saying the same thing. If they want to hire the best developers that make a 10x contribution to their business, those developers want to work on open source. That's where they want to be. It was super interesting, not my words, borrowed that from that roundtable. But if you want to hire the best developers that are going to make the big contribution, are going to be game-changing, those developers want to work on open source, but it needs to be the latest open source. So again, having a partner that's able to work with you and continuously provide you whatever is best of breed open source as a platform becomes important. Single-click deploy, the ability with zero downtime to deploy, to create instances, to run anywhere in the world from a single dashboard with a single pane of security that allows you to get through all your security, your compliance, your distribution of data, and support the initiatives that you're doing becomes super useful. Access to everywhere, all the infrastructure provided for you. We will actually not only work in any of those public clouds, but if you have your own cloud account, you made a big commitment to your cloud provider, we will run inside your cloud and give you 4 nines of uptime in a managed service inside your cloud, burning down the credits that you may have already. All of the security and compliance, I have 2 huge SRE teams just in APAC today as part of a global set of SRE teams that I say keep more than 100,000 nodes. We are one of the most distributed ISVs on the planet in terms of where we run and what we support, and the fact that we have to keep all of that HIPAA compliant and make sure that we satisfy all security, but also financial governance, the ability that you will know at every point what you're spending to run your infrastructure. When you start and talk about, the presenter talked about a number of case studies out of India where the scale of some of this and a lot of the work that we do in countries around Asia, you're working with massive amounts of data, the number of customers. How many customers do you have? I have 70 million customers. That's an awful lot of data you're playing with. So the cost of these things can really blow out. It has to be done efficiently, providing you the governance around that. The ability to run wherever you need to run in whichever. If you go to the Middle East, there is no Google there, so you're probably going to want to run it in AWS. If you're running in Jakarta, you might decide Google is the place you want to be. Your ability to abstract out which cloud you're using and to have the flexibility to run in a multi-cloud environment also gives you less of that vendor lock-in. And I'll tell you, your negotiation ability with your cloud provider, when you have the ability to replicate and move workloads from one cloud to another rapidly, your ability to make sure you're getting the best deal is going to be there. From a cost perspective, because everything we do is actually based on the open source, we contribute heavily to many of the open source projects around. IDC have done a bunch of metrics. On average, we will save you 37% on your cloud infrastructure for storing that data, and I'll tell you, as part of your big data initiatives, this is going to be a big part of your cost. The 340% return on investment, an average 5 months payback in terms of the investments you're going to make. So first of all, making sure that financially, everything you're doing here not only gives you all the benefits of a great data platform to support your initiatives, but it's going to be very cost effective. So in summary, to bring together what Aiven can maybe bring to some of your initiatives, and it won't be for everybody, but if you're looking for a pre-integrated platform because you don't want to tie up your best and brightest people trying to host and manage and secure and patch and upgrade and get through security and compliance, and you want your best of breed, your best individuals to be working on your growth initiatives, free up those people, the freedom to go multi-cloud and move, that it just, our customers have that ability to seamlessly move from one cloud to another. And once you have that ability to go back to only being one cloud, seems very primitive in its nature. The ability to run services in our cloud or in yours. If you have a better deal from your cloud provider than we do, use your account and we'll run the service in your account with your credits. If we're bigger than you and we get a better deal from the cloud provider, run it in our cloud. It really makes no difference. The experience will be the same. It's whichever literally will save you more money. And great support, security, and uptime from Aiven that's going to help you with those initiatives. So if you think any of that is relevant to you, if you'd like to try and improve the speed, efficiency, cost, and people utilization on your projects as part of your digital initiatives, please come and talk to us at the Aiven booth. Happy to explore, see if we can help in some way. Thank you very much.